Hi, legal secretaries. It's Lisa here again. Now, I'm here to tell you about a difficult subject. It's VAT. I'm going to have to get you to calculate it, okay? So this first video is just an explanation of VAT, okay? So VAT, or sales tax as is known. So VAT is a government tax on sales. The current VAT rate is 20%, so 20%. So that means that a price that a company charges for its services has to be raised by 20%. The company would take that extra money in from customers and pay that money to the government. So just suppose I had my own business and I earn 50,000 a year selling my services, whatever they may be. Okay, I do not have to charge VAT because I don't earn enough. But suppose my business was 100,000 a year. I would have to put an extra 20% on the fees that I charge because I would have to take that VAT in from the extra price increase and pay that to the government. Okay, so big businesses pay VAT off to the government, but you're paying for it in what you buy, if that makes sense. Okay, there are a few exclusions and weird bits about it. So I don't know if you've got any little brothers or sisters, but you might have noticed that children's clothes and shoes, etc., they are much cheaper than adults. And it's not because less material is being used, it's just that there's no VAT on children's clothes. So maybe a pair of shoes cost £10, and in the children's department at size 4, they're £10. You want them exactly the same shoes in an adult size, they're going to be £12. And that is because there's no VAT on children's shoes, but there is on adult shoes. Okay, so that it's not because there's more material being used, it's simply the company has to charge VAT. Okay. Now some weird bits about this. Biscuits and chocolate covered cakes are essential. I know it's weird, they are essential. The government says so, so there's no VAT on them. However, chocolate biscuits are a luxury. So chocolate cakes are not a luxury, but chocolate biscuits are, and therefore they have to have VAT on them. So if you buy a hobnob, okay, no chocolate on, there's no VAT. So they're reasonably cheap. You buy a hobnob with chocolate on, then they're more expensive because you've got to have VAT on it. I know it's weird. Now, what the government says is anything that's essential will not have VAT on them, or that's what it used to be. So, for example, Tampax. Well, Tampax does have VAT on them, but the government has just decided they're going to remove it on the 1st of April this year. So, from 1st of April 2020, your Tampax should get cheaper. Okay. Another thing is, most supermarket food, essential items, there's no VAT. It's great, yeah. But things like Coke and Diet Coke, yeah, there is VAT because they're non-essential items. Okay. You buy potatoes, there's no VAT. You go and buy hot chips from the takeaway, there's VAT. But you buy them in the freezer cabinet, they're not ready, so there's no VAT. Lots of little weird rules. Okay. Calculations. Now, going back to chocolate biscuits. So, imagine I'm going to go and buy some chocolate biscuits for the staff room. I go and buy some chocolate hobnobs for £1.20. I'm actually paying £1 for the biscuits because the other 20p, the company, or say McCall's, the newsagent, they're taking the £1.20. They're immediately paying 20p to the government and they're getting the pound. Okay, so they're not getting that extra 20p. So £1 is actually the net or the subtotal before VAT. 20p is the VAT or tax, whatever you want to call it. £1.20 is the gross or the total amount paid. So £1.20 is what I'm paying, that's the gross. 20p is the VAT, £1 is the net. Okay. Now, there is VAT on solicitors' fees because I'm sure most solicitors' firm will have an income of more than 86,000, I think, which is the VAT threshold. And this unit, you're going to have to work out the VAT yourself. So let's imagine that the solicitor's fees are £100. They're normally much more than that, to be honest. And you've got to add the VAT. Now remember, the VAT rate is 20%. It's actually a lot easier to work out than you imagine, but get yourself a calculator. Okay. So let's just have a quick recap on percentages. You know that one thing is 100%. If I've got one biscuit, it's 100% of a biscuit, isn't it? Yeah? If I break that biscuit in half, I've got two 50%, haven't I? Or 0.5. It's the same way of saying it. So if I say half of something, 50%, or 0.5 of something, I just mean half, as in half that biscuit. If I say quarter of something, then if I break that biscuit into 4 bits, I've got quarter, I've got 25%, or I've got 0.25. It means exactly the same thing. So if I've got 1/4 of it, I'm holding 1/4 of that biscuit. It's a quarter, 25%, or 0.25. Same with 1/5. Okay, so if I break that biscuit into 5 bits, if I was really clever, okay, that means I'm holding 20% of the biscuit, or 0.2 of the biscuit, or 1/5 of the biscuit. It means exactly the same thing. To find 20% of something, you need to times it by 0.2. Okay, so this is my last slide, so hopefully I won't lose you on this. Just suppose these fees are £100. If you put in the calculator 100 and then use the times button and 0.2, it will give you the answer of 20. So 100 is the net. The answer you got in the calculator, 20, that's the VAT. And to get the selling price, or the price the customer has to pay, it's going to be 100 plus 20, so it'll be 120. So if we're charging a client £100, we're actually going to be charging them 120 because we have to charge VAT. Does that make sense? One thing to note, though, when you're doing all this, there is never any VAT on disbursements. Now, disbursements are things like postage, court fees, that kind of thing, okay? So you don't include VAT on disbursements. Also, you don't include it on court fees either, okay? So you might have a list of what you've got to do, and you're only going to be charging VAT on Ingram, Lottery and Exton's fees, okay? But you're still going to have to add it all up, and I'll do a little bit about that with you in a little while in the next video, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, email me, please email me, and what I'll do is I'll try and explain it again if you don't quite get it this time. Remember, lisa.vose@ncclondon.ac.uk. Okay, thanks guys, see you later.